Hello there dear evaluators, my name is Sojini Kumaresan and I present to you HistoHub, a virtual reality museum. Upon entering the museum environment, we will be greeted with the welcome menu where we can find the start button. By clicking on the start button, we can start exploring the VR environment. As you can see, there's a lot of 3D models and a lot of things to look around. To get closer to these objects, we can press on the trigger button on the remote, and then we can get closer to the 3D models and we can read the info cards found around the museum. So if we turn around, this is the Merdeka 118 building. Again, by pressing the trigger on the remote, I'm getting closer to this building, and then I get to read the information written on the info card. Next up behind me is the KLCC towers, or better known as the Petronas Twin Towers. Once again, by pressing the trigger, I can get closer to these buildings to check out the details. And then next to the Petronas Twin Towers is the info card that is found. We can read the information on the card, and once we're done reading, we can click on the Learn More button, which brings us to the next scene, the KL City Center. So here we can explore the city center and get close to buildings once again by clicking on the trigger button. We can check out this building, the KLCC building, and also the KLCD skyline. Once we are done exploring, we can find our way back to the UI and click on the home button to get back to the museum lobby. And in the museum lobby, we can find posters and infographics hung around the museum. For example, this one. And then there's another two across the museum over here with the list of Prime Ministers of Malaysia and also the most recent cabinet of Malaysia. Next up is the first Malaysian car, the Proton Iswara or Proton Saga. We can read the information about the Malaysia's first car, and then we can get closer to the car to check it out, to look at the details of the car. We can also walk around the car and go to the back. Here you will find a photo of Dr. Mahathir at the assembly line of Proton Iswara. And then here is the slideshow of the Proton Saga progression up until today. This video over here is to show the Proton's history in rally racing. Proton once had its own Proton Racing, Eon racing team, and we can read the fact about the racing team here. And symbolic to the racing team, we have a racetrack found in this museum, and we can activate a car to ride along the racetrack. To do that, we have to grab this box, and then we have to place this box into its socket over here, and that will activate the car to move around the racetrack. To stop the car from moving, all we have to do is pick the box back up and then put it aside, and that will stop the car from moving. So next up, we will go upstairs to the second floor of the museum. In order to climb up the stairs, we just have to point the ray at the walkable area and then click on the trigger once again. Once we reach the top of the stairs, we are greeted by revolving pictures of Tunku Abdul Rahman. We can walk around the revolving podium to check out more of the images. Then from here, we can walk over to this artifact over here, which is a shotgun that is used typically in the colonial era of Malaysia. And then over here we can find a British soldier figure to represent the colonial era of Malaysia. And then once again we can read the card on the info card. Once we're done reading, we can click on the Learn More button, which will bring us to the next scene. In this next scene, we can find ourselves in a British fort, and right in front of us we can read more information, more facts about the colonial era of Malaysia, and we can click on the next button to go to the next fact, read this, and then click on next again and read that, and next again and read this. And once we are done reading, we can click on the home button to get back to the museum lobby. Right here we can find ourselves in front of more artifacts. This is to represent the early history of Malaysia, where weapons typically used in Malaya was keris. It's found inside of the display unit. We have another brass keris over here. Once we're done with that, we can walk over to this other 3D figure, which is the figure of Parameswara, founder of Malacca. You can get closer to this 3D object, and again there's a learn more button in the info card. This one brings us to the next scene where we can see the tables and books in a separate room, and similar to the British soldier, we can learn the Parameswara and founding of Malacca's history in here. And we can click on the next button to read more information, and click another next button to go to the next slide, and we can read this one. Click on the next button to go to the next slide, and similarly to the previous scene, we can click on the home button to get back to the lobby. And then we can continue exploring. From this view we can see the entire museum, the ground floor of the museum, and also the top floor of the museum. Then we can walk over to this other side of the museum to find ourselves with more artifacts. We've got artifact number 1 over here, and then we've got another artifact over here at the tapak sirih, and then woven basket, which is very, very famous in Malaysia. And then finally, that is it for the museum. Those are all the things that we can explore in the museum. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you really like this. Bye bye.